that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
So Leute, Entschuldigung, ich habe einen ziemlichen Fehler gemacht, und zwar habe ich nicht auf die Aufnahme gedrückt von meinem Ton. Ja, also ich habe versucht, möglichst wenig zu reden, weil das Spiel spricht ja mehr oder weniger eigentlich für sich selbst. Ich versuche es auch manchmal nicht so zu befolgen, weil das wäre sonst langweilig. Also es passiert eigentlich viel lustigeres Zeug, wo man einfach totale Scheiße macht. Weil dieses Spiel sich einfach selbst dauernd abhackt. Und ja, also ich habe das Spiel, zumindest die Demo davon habe ich schon mal gesehen. Und ich fand es einfach ziemlich geil. Dann war es letztens im Steam Store im Angebot. Da habe ich mir gedacht, ja, dann holst du es dir einfach mal. Und ja, auf jeden Fall tut mir jetzt leid, dass der erste Teil nicht kommentiert ist. Aber ab hier an werde ich ein wenig labern. Aber wie gesagt, ich lasse das Game mehr für sich selbst sprechen. Jetzt sagt er gar nichts. Gut, was ist jetzt los?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ich weiß nicht. Ja, doch, sitzt mal.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Also vorhin bei der Frau übrigens, da bin ich echt richtig zusammengezuckt. Da war ich erstmal ein paar Minuten ruhig danach. Also weil das hat mich dann echt richtig geschockt. So das Spiel erschreckt mich ein bisschen. Also.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word Escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Ich habe richtig Angst vor dieser Scheiße. Okay.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Also ich muss schon sagen, das Spiel ist schon...
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless. making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Wenn es jetzt schon vorbei ist, dann bin ich ziemlich enttäuscht, muss ich sagen. Aber ich glaube schon, dass da noch irgendwas kommen wird. Okay.
Stanley walked over the bridge. Okay. Moment, ich jetzt mal kurz. Okay, da können wir auch nichts machen. Schade.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...